The issue solving track is one of the most important skills I teach my teams as they're scaling their business and creating a true executive team that can make high performance decisions in less and less time. And so the pain that we're faced as entrepreneurial leaders is we build our organization and we build our companies by being the ultimate firefighters and executors, doing things, pivoting, figuring out what needs to get done to get to a certain point where you have product market fit. That gets in our way at some point, because if we're just a firefighter and we're always just receiving the biggest issue and biggest problem to solve, we're never focused on our biggest priorities. We're never thinking ahead. We're never giving ourselves space to think and be creative. Repeating the same issues also occurs as you're building teams and you start to meet. If you don't have the right structure, teams get together, even great teams get together, and they end up starting to talk about an issue, and then they just talk about it over and over again, and they never really get to a real solution that makes it go away. And then a month later, it comes up again, and it creates frustration and burnout in teams. And then the last one is constant interruption of your teammates. If your teammates don't know when they're supposed to bring up issues, and they just think, this is important to me now, I'm going to go talk to the boss about it, you're always interrupted, and everyone in the office is just interrupted with everyone's biggest, hottest issue at the time, which can be exhausting for you. It's exhausting for your teammates too, if you're always doing that and their fellow teammates are always just bringing up the hot issue. So that's the pain we're solving with the issue solving track. And it fits within the EOS model here, which is the 6 key components that all businesses have. And I teach my clients that the tools that we have to use can help you get strong at all 6. All right. So it's vision, people, data, issues, process, and traction. And within the issues solving track, we have the issues list, which is a running list of issues, challenges, problems, and obstacles, and opportunities that get built up through the teams throughout the week until you get to the time in your level 10 meeting when it's time to solve those issues and prioritize them. So the discipline of building and maintaining that issues list and knowing what to save for that designated meeting time and knowing what's an actual emergency is a skill and an art in itself. But having a working issues list throughout the organization is the first part. And the second part is IDS, which is how we solve our issues, which stands for identify, discuss, and solve. All right. And so the way this works is we're going to have this issues list on a running basis. We get through our meeting, we get some measurables, we see how we're doing with our priorities to identify any new issues we should work on. And then this list is built and it's time to prioritize the top 3. But before we do that, in order to have a great IDS session, we have to have a couple things. We have to have open and honest. And so open and honest is required to have truly good issues identification, issues discussion, and a real solve that makes it go away. Okay, so if you're a leader that just wants head nods and to tell people what to do, you don't necessarily need this. You can just tell people what to do. But if you're trying to scale an organization with real leaders who can have real decision making, you can leverage their creative talent, you need to build a culture that is open and honest, where people can receive open feedback and deliver it in a real way. That's required. Discipline, in order to save up issues, write them down, take voice note, capture them when they come up, is really, really important for you and the rest of your organization. If you just let things sit, when it comes to the time, you're not going to have issues in your head. Your mind's going to go blank. So developing the discipline and structure for saving those issues, putting them into a place, and having everyone on your team capture those issues in a structured way is required to do this well. And then preparation and intensity. So for this meeting, this is a once a week meeting. You're spending 60 minutes a week solving issues in a dedicated time with your team. You and your team need to prepare like this is the most important hour of your week, because it is. And you need to have intensity, focus, absolutely not being distracted in order to have the best meeting. So those are the prerequisites Let's get into what it is. Identify, discuss, solve. So first, we're going to identify the issue, which is digging down to the root of the issue that can be solved before moving on. Okay? Whatever goes up on the list is not the issue. Sales are off. That's not the issue. That is a symptom or an outcome of a root cause of the issue. You have to dig down and narrow down into the issue. What is the issue causing our sales to be down over the past couple of weeks? Is our sales rep not doing his work? Is he not making enough calls? Is he making enough calls but to the wrong people? Do we have a process that he can follow? Is there enough demand? Do we have a big enough list for him to call? Do we know how to qualify our leads? Is our product being communicated the right way? I could come up with 15 different root issues to sales being down. We need to narrow down the actual issue that we need to solve today. And that takes work, discipline, and skill. Okay? So we need to narrow it down and not move on until we agree. A couple ways to figure out and agree what the issue is and narrow it down is one, have people restate the issue. So if I state the issue, our sales process is broken. Have one of my colleagues restate the issue. If they state it the same way, we're probably on track. But if we're not there yet, they're going to say something different. And so we have to debate what the actual issue is that we're going to solve. This requires discipline and practice. Another thing you can do is ask, what type of issue is this? Is it a people issue? We have a people problem? Is it a process issue? This is a data issue, or we have the right information. Narrowing that down will help you narrow down the issue. And then last but not least, who owns the issue? Who is accountable for making sure the issue gets solved? If you don't know, that might be the first issue you need to solve. Who has accountability for this issue based on your org structure? Okay? Once you get to agreement on what the issue is, which can take a little time, then we're on to discuss. And discuss is a brief discussion, as it's called, of what the potential solutions are. What do we need to do to solve the issue? Try to avoid repeating yourself, politicking for answers, rambling, jumping on tangents. This is meant to be a brief discussion so people can be heard and lay out what they think the solves are. And then solution, the solve, is some kind of to-do, action. Maybe it's a future priority or rock if it's a big project that can't be solved in a few minutes. It might be a message that needs to be shared with the rest of the team. It also, in some cases, can be another meeting. For example, if a 5-person leadership team, only 2 people need to be involved in this discussion, but it's going to take 15 minutes. Why don't we have those 2 people go off, come up with a solution, and then report back on it? Okay? So the solve is some action that everyone agrees on that gets documented that says, yes, this will solve the issue. That's what the solve is. Once that is documented, then the issue is solved, you can remove it, and you're on to the next issue. Number 2, then number 3, we want to do this by nominating our top 3, solving the 3, and then once that's done, if there's time, moving on. All right? So that's how we do IDS in our IDS portion of the meeting. All right? Ways to get better as a team and move towards mastery. I have a couple written. One is brevity. You have to, as a team, collectively, and of course the team leader has to push it, with kindness, get more and more brevity in your communications. People tend to talk a lot, want to use flowery language, want to get their points across. Better communication gets better decision making faster, which is really important because this time together is really valuable time. You have lots of work to do. We want to get better decision making done faster. So you want to be brief, and you have to have discipline as a team to come prepared, work on these issues. You're going to have bad days. It's okay. You have to understand that this is an infinite skill that's going to be developed over years, and you have to have the persistence to stick with it, okay? Commitment, discipline, persistence learning how to be brief in your communications, pushing each other with kindness to get better and better, giving each other feedback is how you get better. Mastering this skill is the difference between moving to a high-performing executive team of leaders from a command and control, leader tells people what to do type of organization. And all organizations need to make that transition if they want to grow past a certain point. So it's essential if you want to get to a certain level of growth. IDS, learn it and master it.